radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke Radio for the masses. Yeah, man. How you doing? Today's Monday, June 22nd, 2020. "174 days into the new year, only 192 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? It's Monday. How you doing? How you doing? All right. What an amazing week we've got coming up. Tonight, Gary Osborn is with us. He is here to discuss all of his latest research into the Jim Penniston binary code download. That's going to happen tonight. Tomorrow night, Laird Scranton is here. He's got a new book out, Primal Wisdom of the Ancients. Got it right here. There it is. There it is. Primal Wisdom of the Ancients. That's tomorrow night. Here is, let me hold this up. This is the Rendlesham Enigma, Book 1 Timeline, with Gary Osborn, co-author with Jim Penniston. Now, I want you to look at the side view of this book. Look at this thing. That's right. This is a book you need to get right here because it's close to 1,000 pages. It's absolutely nuts. You need to get this book right here. We'll be discussing this tonight. Absolutely incredible. Today when you go out and you spend your hard-earned dosh on a book, this is what you need to get in the mail right here. It's like a David Icke book. Man, incredible. Okay, so we'll be discussing this tonight with Gary Osborn. Tomorrow night, Laird Scranton is here, Primal Wisdom of the Ancients. And then Wednesday night, right here on this program, Greg Hausch is back. And we are going to be covering artificial intelligence, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's right. That's Wednesday. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. You can follow me right now on Twitter at JChurchRadio. All right? You can start right there at JChurchRadio. I like hanging out. I like hanging out in social media, and I certainly appreciate what most of you have to say in social media. So start right there at JChurchRadio, okay? Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. That is where the Fadernauts hang out each night. There are a few thousand tweets that happen at hashtag F2B every night. So come and join in on the conversation. We have 2 chat rooms open. one over on Spreaker, one at KGRA The Planet, and of course everything that is going on over on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter with our live feeds and TalkStream Live and KGRA The Planet and TuneIn. I get all of that. So welcome to everybody that's listening all around the world. Okay. You can also email tonight during the show, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. If you don't want to hit us up on social media, you can still do the thing called email, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. All right, I feel great. Had a great weekend. I hope everybody had an amazing Father's Day. We hung out with the family yesterday. It was totally cool. Totally cool to hang out. I'm just telling you right now, it was just a great afternoon. And I feel great. And one of the reasons why I feel great is because I take my vitamins, I take my supplements. I am backed by GetTheT.com. I need you to head over there. And I've been talking about this now for a couple of weeks. Red vinegar capsules. I think that's what they're called. Red vinegar capsules. Got to start taking that. It's oh, man. Rita and I today, over at the house in the kitchen, I said, red vine. Red vine. Red vinegar. Red vine capsules would be good, too. Yeah. Yeah, and I have to take it's absolutely incredible what that does. GetTheT.com, get your immune system boosted, head straight over, and because you're a Fader, use the promo code Fader, Fader, and you will get free shipping on all orders over $50. What is that? Cooked a couple of seafood dinners over the weekend for the old man. That actually looks pretty good. That looks, oh, yeah, surf and turf? That's what I'm talking about. We sort of did that. Oh, man, that looks good. That's gonna get a like right there on Twitter. Okay, where am I at? Email throughout the show, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. I want you to check out Billy Carson's new internet TV network. That is ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. The banners, the links, and everything that you need is over at jimmychurchradio.com. Get over there, get registered, 3-day free trial membership. Thousands. Well, it's over 1,000. Knowing Billy, it's probably in the thousands of episodes and things for you to go and check out right now. Get your edumacation on. Yeah, red vines. You like that? Thank you, Cassandra. You're quick. Red vine capsules. There's an inside joke there. I'm going to let it go. River Moon Coffee. rivermooncoffee.com. Makers of the Fade to Black blend, Game Changer blend. All the banners and promo codes that you need are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Go and do it. Best coffee in the world. See what happens? Automatically, I just say River Moon Coffee. I pick it up. Soon in your life, you're going to be listening to Fade to Black. You're going to be listening live. I'm going to say River Moon Coffee, and you're going to reach for it and take a sip. I just guarantee it. I guarantee it. See, I did it again. It's that good. Let's get to the breaking news. A new deal signed between NASA and Virgin Galactic will see Richard Branson's company buying up seats on spacecraft headed to the International Space Station, while finding and training private astronauts to occupy them. NASA is seeing a greater demand for scientific and commercial use of the ISS, and Virgin Galactic said all of this in a statement that was released today. In order to fulfill this demand, the company promised to develop the so-called Private Orbital Astronaut Readiness Program, which will include identifying private clients willing to go to the station, providing them with the means to get there, as well as with in-orbit and on-the-ground resources, including that brand new lavatory. That's right. Now, some of the biggest news that I've heard in a long time happened earlier today because a huge previously undiscovered prehistoric monument has been unearthed just a stone's throw away from Stonehenge. Archaeologists working in Durrington, southwest England, found evidence of at least 20, now listen to this, 20 prehistoric shafts, more than 33 feet in diameter and 16 feet deep, on the ancient site where Stonehenge sits. The shafts combine to form a circle more than 1.2 miles in diameter and create another circle around Stonehenge. All of this according to archaeologists from the University of St. Andrews. The monument is most likely Neolithic and was created more than 4,500 years ago. The first stage of Stonehenge was constructed around 3000 BC, about 500 years before the newly discovered circle of shafts, or some are calling them bunkers. That's right. Think about that. You should see the map. See the photograph. There's Stonehenge. Here's the circle, and then these holes, these pits, these bunkers are out here, concentric. It's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. All right, big Microsoft news today because Microsoft is shutting down its video game streaming platform, Mixer, after its growth failed to meet the company's expectations. But don't worry, Microsoft said today that it is partnering with Facebook. That's right. Facebook is going to be there to help transition the Mixer streaming community to Facebook gaming. The deal brings together two big names in the gaming world in a partnership that could challenge the industry leader, Amazon's Twitch. Now, you may have missed this, but that's why I'm here. NASA is warning about 5 more asteroids that are coming over the next 3 days. 2 today, 1 on June 24th, and 2 on June 25th. They are passing by planet Earth between 1.27 and 2.76 million miles, and all of them are at least as big as a commercial jet. That's right. They're trying to figure out how they're going to do this, how they're going to save the planet. You know, what are they going to do? Yeah, interesting news. What are they going to do? I've read a couple of interesting ideas today. More on this on a future episode. It's pretty interesting. Well, today is June 22nd. That's right. Because June 21st, 2020 is now over. And several doomsday prophecies, which had claimed the world was about to come to an end, as per a prediction by the mythical Mayan calendar, have proven to be wrong again. Now, with the coronavirus pandemic raging across the world, infecting millions and killing hundreds of thousands, the Mayan calendar's so-called world will end prophecy had generated lots of interest. But once again, with June 21st coming to an end, the Mayan calendar has, just like its 2012 prediction, will once again proven to be nothing. Well, nothing but fun. Because it's fun to read. It is. But it also freaked out millions around the world. The original social media posts causing all of the drama have now been deleted. Yeah. Mandela effect. The StarWorks UFOs and Artificial Intelligence Conference going on in Laughlin, Nevada, November 5th through the 8th is happening at the Aquarius Hotel and Casino. I'm going to be there. Grant Cameron's going to be there. Paul Hynek, James Fox, Alan Stivelman, Sid Goldberg. That's right. And another dozen great speakers. I'm going to be there. Fade to Black Crew's going to be there. Rita's going to be there. We will be hosting on Thursday night and Friday night 2 Sky Watch events with Sixto Paz. He's going to be there. I think Grant Cameron's going to be there. We're going to drag James Fox along. You know Paul Hynek is going to be hanging out. So go to StarWorksUSA.com for tickets and info. Now, on October 10th, that is a Saturday, October 10th, 2020, is Disclosure Fest, right here in Los Angeles at the historic Los Angeles Park in downtown. That's right, October 10th. We anticipate around 20,000 attendees. With a crowd that large, we want everybody to be safe, and we will be. All right, it's October 10th. Come and hang out with all of us, all of the speakers, all of the music, the yoga, the mass meditation initiative, the Fade to Black stage. Everything that you need to find out is over at disclosurefest.org. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Meryl Streep. 71 years old. And you know, that's the universe, because last night, you can ask Rita, last night I watched Defending Your Life. I didn't know it was her birthday today. I watched that last night, beginning to end. What a great movie. Cyndi Lauper today is 67. Carson Daly, remember that guy? Isn't he the host of, like, America's Got Talent or something? One of those shows. He's the host of, he's doing something now. He's been doing it for a while. Carson Daly, 47 years old. Todd Rundgren, hello, it's me. Today, 72. And OG Fader Not, John Ledford, today is 29 years old. On this day in history, OTD 2011. Notorious Boston mobster Whitey Bulger is arrested after 16 years on the run right here in Southern California in Santa Monica. Law enforcement officials found weapons, fake identification, and more than $800,000 stashed in the walls of his apartment. At trial, he was found guilty, and a federal judge sentenced him to 2 life terms in prison plus 5 years, and he died while incarcerated on October 30th, 2018. Fader fact, the asteroid belt. Now, this is where you need to just sit and listen to me. This is a fact. The asteroid belt is nowhere near as crowded as portrayed in movies and on TV. There are millions of kilometers between each objects, and astronauts would probably not even know if they flew through it. In the asteroid belt, one asteroid collides with another. That is the number one. One asteroid collides with another every 3 billion years. That's only maybe 2 collisions over the entire lifetime of our solar system. That is your Fader fact. Tonight, Gary Osborn is here. He's here. We're going to be discussing all of the Jim Penniston binary code download. Tomorrow night, Laird Scranton is here. We're going to be talking about his new book, Primal Wisdom of the Ancients. Wednesday night, Greg Hausch. We're going to be talking about artificial intelligence, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And, of course, Thursday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. Now, let me hit this River Moon coffee. Just like this. rivermooncoffee.com. Today I had to go back and fix, well, actually Drew fixed it, but an upload from last week that was repeated twice. No big deal. But as I looked at the file names, I was struck by the number 1,254. 1,254 shows. Now, we started back in 2013, and we're coming up on our 7-year anniversary and getting ready to start our year number 8. You know, and it's just like, holy crap. And it makes you think. It really does. In that, what have we built? Actually, we've built nothing. You see, it's not like a craftsman who builds a wall, right? Something physical, that'll stand the test of time, or a building, a house, or an artist with 1,000 paintings. We have just done a series of shows over 7 years. Most of them were listened to live, and for those, the broadcasts have come and gone. Poof, they're gone. We have a digital archive, and there they sit, ones and zeros. There are images on the net. Yep, fade to black images, more digital files. And then you have the question and comments and a few threads here and there, but that's pretty much it. There was nothing built. Anything built is inside my head. I'm walking around with a library of information that has been amassed, but it can never be accessed. Nope. It'll never be shared because it can't. It's impossible. Just like anybody else who has done a lifetime of research to write a few books or many or whatever, it's nearly impossible to gain insight on what is truly inside of their heads, stored, remembered, and forgotten. Any conversation with them about everything that they have learned would be equal to their years of life lived. Think about that. Any author or researcher worth their weight will tell you that what they know, what they have stored, is not important. Because it's not about them. It's about you. You take all of these episodes of Fade to Black, you take any book, any knowledge that you have acquired throughout your life, and you learn from it. You use it. This prepares you for each and every challenge that life brings you. When something happens, whatever it is, you take your experience from the past and apply it to the issues of today. It's really that simple. Now, last night I watched a very rare interview with Patrick McGowan, creator and star of The Prisoner. He has done exactly 3 interviews, 3 in the last 50 years about the series, and 2 of them were for the same documentary. And his reason for doing this was that he didn't want to discuss his truth. He didn't want to do that. He wanted everyone to experience it for themselves and ask their own questions. His version was his alone, right? And so it should be for everyone else. It's the very same thing for Fade to Black. It's not what is inside my head that matters. It's what is inside yours. The truth is I've come to very few conclusions. More questions than answers. And if you have listened to Fade to Black for the last 6.5 years, you've done the very same thing. And that, my friends, is healthy. I have learned that a few can't be trusted. I've also learned that others can. I've also learned that nobody outside of a few government institutions knows the truth about UFOs, ET, time travel, or lost history. Nobody that posts on Twitter, Facebook, nobody who has a website, a company, or a show on television, nobody knows the truth. Nobody has an insider. Nobody is an insider. There are no ex-CIA, DOD, Pentagon, Navy, Air Force, or anything insiders that know the truth. That's it. There's nobody out there talking about it. They don't exist. Now, I'm here to tell you that over the last 6.5 years, through to this very day, that I have been contacted by everyone, and I do mean everyone. I'm part of mailing lists, I'm part of contact lists, I'm part of private chats and text and phone calls involving every name you can think of and hundreds that you don't know. And the drama, the BS, the outright lying that goes on will blow your minds. when I read the Twitter, Facebook, blogs, forums, leaked documents, and sources from the past to the present, it's absolutely crazy. Because I know the stuff that is going on, the stuff that is said, both to me personally and the way conversations are had privately between these personalities. It is no different than yesterday, than last year, the last decade, or the last century. The drama continues. Much of it with the same players of 30 years ago. Right? And these players of 30 years ago are dragging the new researchers into their old mess. This is what I've learned. With the massive size of the personnel inside of the government with actual knowledge of the UFO question, why hasn't anyone come forward? You know, the ET version of Edward Snowden. Where is this whistleblower? It's not TTSA or the Tic Tac crap or the pilots and the crews from the Navy, Hal Puthoff, Dr. Eric Davis, Jim Semivan, Chris Mellon, Harry Reid, Louis Elizondo. These guys don't know anything. They may believe in UFOs, which is fine, but they don't know crap. They are not insiders of anything. They never were. It's history repeating itself. We've had all of this and much more over the last 70 years. Everything but the one true whistleblower. Now, I know that it may seem that I'm picking on TTSA and their team, and I am to a point, but it's also any other personality in the UFO game that has an insider. That's right. They don't have an insider of anything. Of anything related to the UFO subject. Trust me, if the ET version of Edward Snowden came forward with a USB drive full of data, we would know it. If Ed pulled it off with the NSA and got away with it, then so would someone with UFO data. And yes, the media would cover it. Books would be written, movies would be made, and that's a fact. So the question is, where is our official UFO whistleblower? I don't know. But it's only because it hasn't happened yet. One thing is for sure. Your UFO whistleblower is not posting on Twitter, not posting on Facebook, or has a series on the History Channel. That is also a fact. These things are what I've learned over the past 1,250 episodes of Fade to Black. The drama today is fun for sure. I'll never get enough of it. But none of it is as cool as the day we all saw the beer can next to Mount Adams. Now, when the Navy releases a video of a crystal clear 400-foot tall spinning can after it was leaked by an insider, that is the day we'll have our official UFO whistleblower. That is also a fact. It just hasn't happened yet. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, right here, Gary Osborn. We're going to be talking about all of his research with the Jim Penniston binary downloads. That and a whole lot more on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. I'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
OMG! People are jumping on board to the Life Change Tea Regiment. Brew, steep, and drink for a gentle, taste-great cleanse. It's changing how they feel. See what everybody's talking about. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Life Change Tea aids in digestive slowdown and helps people get moving down a healthy path. We won't make claims. We'll just let you decide. Experience is much better than a commercial anyway. If you want results, log on to getthetea.com and purchase your super strength cleansing tea. You won't be disappointed. And if you're looking for some mind-body suggestions, go to YouTube and punch in the search bar Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. Put power into your health now. So, getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com for super strength tea. And YouTube, Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now for valuable suggestions. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show. On the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Kicking off Monday tonight, Gary Osborn is here. Tomorrow night, Laird Scranton. Always great when Laird visits us. Wednesday night, Greg Hausch. Artificial intelligence. What a great week. Thursday night's another Fader night with open lines all night long. Tonight, Gary Osborn joins us. We're going to be talking about his research with the binary number sequence that Jim Penniston received as a download during and after his encounter in the Rendlesham Forest incident. Gary has written 2 books, co-authored with Philip Gardiner, The Serpent Grail in 2005 and The Shining Ones in 2006, and The Giza Prophecy with our favorite Scott Creighton in 2009. He has written a series of articles for both Mindscape and Heretic Magazines, of which he is a regular contributor, and also New Dawn Magazine with Scott Creighton. His current book, I'll hold it up for the cameras here, is The Rendlesham Enigma, Book 1, Timeline, co-authored with Jim Penniston. I don't know how many pages this is, but this is what you want. You get your money's worth. And his links to his website are right there at jimmychurchradio.com. And I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Gary Osborn. Gary, good evening, man. How are you?
Hi. Yeah, I'm great. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah, and you
pleasure.
It's great to hear your voice. And Gary, you get the first time guest disclaimer. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Gary, it's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. And where that conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends, it ends. But we're going to end as friends. There you go. You ready?
That's great. Yes.
Oh, yes, man.
I'd be sitting with you having a beer. I would be sitting with you having a beer.
Absolutely. Now, Gary, you've been writing about these subjects for a number of years. It's about to be 2 decades. It's a long time. I actually kind of want to start there. What initially got you started in this community? Was it crazy parents? Did you see something as a child? Did you have experiences? What led you to us?
Yeah, it was an experience I had on the 10th of November 1993.
What happened?
Yeah, and I at the time I didn't know what it was. I was really puzzled. It was like a rebirth, and it was only a few years later that I realized what it was after reading some books. But really, I didn't know what it was, and it kind of changed me. It changed my life. After that experience, I was having this information coming to me. It was like just having insights into things and making connections between things.
Well, what did you see? I mean, help me with that. Was it something in the sky? Was it unidentified? What was it?
It started off as a dream. Like I know what it was. The dream. It was like it was a lucid dream, but what it was the hypnagogic state. Because I discovered all this later, and while I was in that dream, I felt this energy kind of running up my legs and up to the top of my head. And then it started to oscillate up and down my spine. And it was like as I became aware that it was my physical body, it started to gain in speed, this oscillation. And exploded in my head like bright white light. So, the connotations with that, it's quite funny. But after that experience, I kind of came down from it, and I just didn't know what it was. It was something that's never happened to me. It's something, like a secret that your body keeps to itself. And then I started researching into it. And I was at the same time I was having all these insights into things and making connections. And it was like I was gathering up information that I had seen all at once in that experience. So it's like I was kind of one with everything, and it was like I saw everything at once, but it was like a split second. But it also lasted a long time. But time was kind of irrelevant, really. Anyway, I started reading up on it and researching into it, and I found it was what they call a Kundalini awakening. And this is something that comes up later with people that I kind of met up with along the way, Well, when when we all, everybody, you don't have to be in this community, but we all hear about experiences like this and people talking about when something like this happens. Most of it gets brushed off. Crazy. Mental illness. Whatever. I'm normal. They are not. And then when it happens to you, it forces you to kind of look around, doesn't it? And go, well, you know what? Some of these people talking about these things aren't necessarily crazy because I went through it and I know I'm not crazy, right? Is this what goes through your head? Yeah, I mean, I used to talk about it. I tried talking about it with people, but their eyes would glaze over, or they just didn't want to listen to it, So I kind of, walked away and just kept it to myself for a while. But I mean, I had no prior instruction or knowledge of this experience. It happened spontaneously to me. It was an awakening because the information, the quality of the information that was coming to me, it was like my IQ had been boosted. Yeah.
Well, what do you? This is the thing. It hadn't happened to you before. Were you asking for this to happen? Or was this, you were just on a different path in life and this was something completely unexpected?
I was interested in things. I mean, I was interested in the paranormal mystical experience. And I don't know. I mean, I grew up in Peckham, South East London, right? And that place is just not conducive for these kind of experiences, you know. It was a rough area. And so this really, it was just so different to anything I'd ever experienced before. And it just rocked my world. As I said, I was always kind of intellectual in a way, you know. I mean, I'd go out drinking with my mates, but I couldn't wait to get on to read a book. So I was kind of intellectually minded and interested in certain subjects. But this experience just, it changed everything for me.
Well, your first 3 books, The Serpent Grail, The Shining Ones, and The Giza Prophecy, are all things that these are subjects about lost history that isn't talked about. And when you go and you research for books like these, you start to find out that the past isn't what we are taught in school. And that starts to cloud things, doesn't it? Where you start to question everything. There isn't anything that makes sense anymore, does it?
No, I mean, I didn't feel I was being taught anything at school anyway. I used to go up into the art class. I used to up off lessons and go up into the art class because I was always kind of artistic and music. I used to go into the music hall and the hall, you know, where there was the school band. Then I was in the school band, and I never really went to the lessons because I realised that we were being indoctrinated. I was being indoctrinated with things that, you know, I mean, I was at home. I would read books about the real history. Yeah. So it kind of passed me by, all the indoctrination process anyway. So as a result of that experience, this how these books came to be. You know, I got in touch with Philip Gardiner because he already had a book out called The Shining Ones, and I could relate to that because it was this experience. I realised that what he was writing about shamans and shamanic trance, the shamanic trance state, is basically what I had experienced. Is what they tried to obtain. They tried to obtain that enlightenment experience, and so I could relate to what he was writing about then. And after a while, when we were kind of swapping emails about some of the work we were doing, and he was reading some of my work, he asked me to write the book he was already writing. And what was that called? That was the Serpent Grail. But it wasn't called the Serpent Grail at the time. And I just lent my insights to that. And I did write the third part of the book, actually. I contributed my insights from that experience. And then I wrote The Shining Ones. I rewrote The Shining Ones because Watkins wanted to bring his book out again, but they wanted an expanded version of his book, or they wanted an updated version. So they asked me if I wanted to do it because Philip Gardiner didn't want to have anything to do with it. He'd already written it once. So I started writing it, but it was a completely different book, and I was wanting to call it The Inner Sun, but it became The Shining Ones. It was a marketing disaster anyway, that book, you know, because people get it mixed up with his first book.
Right. Yeah. And I want to just touch upon a little bit before we move forward. With Giza, of course, ancient Egypt, and the work of Scott Creighton, which his importance cannot be measured. I think Scott is very courageous, and he doesn't care what other people think. You know, he follows the facts, and that's the way that he works, and he's really great at it. But when you jump into Giza and you start looking at the Giza Plateau in ancient Egyptian history, it is one of the clearest representations of lost history that is completely misrepresented today, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, you see, all the roads lead to Giza, as I said to you the other day. I mean, my research, what I was doing into this experience, led me to the Great Pyramid. And the way I see it now, the Great Pyramid, it is, I would say it's a temple for initiation into this experience. I think that's what they try to bring on in the Great Pyramid, was this experience. My theory is that, I mean, other people have come to this as well, that the sarcophagus is basically, a sensory deprivation tank or chamber. And during the Hebsed festival, the pharaoh would be tested for his kingship to see if he still fit to rule. And the shamans would take him through this ritual. It'd be like a near-death experience. And he'd go into that sarcophagus and they'd put him in the trance state using, physical, rituals or techniques or substances. And he would enter into either a near-death experience or maybe even reach enlightenment. Well, that's what the goal was, to reach enlightenment. But he would bring back information like the shaman does from the other side if he had a near-death experience. And in a way, he had to learn how to die before he died. So I think that's what the pyramid was built for. But there is so much information in the pyramid, in its structure, that it's also a compendium of knowledge at the same time, you see.
What led you to Jim Penniston?
Yeah, Well, I was watching a documentary in the UK about the Rendlesham incident, and I remember seeing someone playing Jim, an actor playing him, and they were administering this sodium pentothal, in this underground room or something. And I thought, that's interesting. I'd like to talk to that guy. It was 2 weeks later that he got in touch with me out of the blue. And he contacted me by email, and I think this was on the 18th of November 2010. And he put on the title of the email was 23.5 degrees, right? So I thought, that's weird. And anyway, he said he wanted me to help him with something, assist him with something. He'd learned that from someone, a mutual friend of ours, that I'd been kind of deciphering ancient symbolism, and I've written a few books. And he said to this mutual friend that he had dreams about 23.5, because I asked him why 23.5 degrees in the title of his email. And he said he had dreams about it. And he also said that he thinks it was to do with temperatures at certain regions on the planet. And I said, no, that's not what it is. It's the tilt angle, the Earth's obliquity tilt angle. Just taking a drop of water there. And so he said, oh, right, okay. He said, I've forgotten about it. He said, I must have learned about that. But he said, but I've forgotten. So I said, yeah, it's the tilt angle of the Earth. And I said, that's funny because I've been doing... And he said, stop a moment, because that's why I got in touch with you, because the person who I know, said that's what your research is about the angle of 23.5 degrees. And what it is, since 2000, I was finding these references to the Earth's obliquity angle in all these different sources throughout history, and mostly from 17th century paintings, like Poussin, even Da Vinci, and along with the angle of 51 or 52 degrees, which is the side angle of the pyramid. It was later that I found the angle of 23.5 in the cross-section graphic of the pyramid. So the angle of the Earth's axis is actually referenced in the in the structure of the Great Pyramid. It goes from the south corner vertex in cross section through to the center of the King's Chamber. That angle is 23.5 or thereabouts. And there's other angles in the pyramid that I realized that this is kind of like a map of the Earth, and that became part of the work that went into the Giza Prophecy with Scott Creighton. But anyway, going on, because Jim back during the incident, and he said, I want you to look at it and see if you can come up with any additional information. Just look at the coordinates. He said, I'm having the other 6 coordinates deciphered now. And this was in January. He sent me an email in January. That's when he asked me about the coordinates, because he just asked me to help him in 2010, at the end of 2010.
Well, let me jump in right there. How did Penniston know in 2010 that these were coordinates?
Someone had told. I think he had them deciphered first of all, didn't he? He had the first 5 pages deciphered by Prometheus Entertainment when the binary code had been discovered in his notebook, and on the first few pages, the coordinates of High Brazil came up. You know, the sunken island off the west coast of Ireland. Anyway, he said that he'd given the code or the binary code to Joe Luciano, who was deciphering it, and he was finding the coordinates, these other coordinates. And there were so many permutations of these coordinates because of the decimal point, you know. Anyway, Joe Luciano narrowed it down to 7, and I got the remaining 6 sets of coordinates sent to me on February the 3rd, 2011. And they came early in the morning, and I just wanted to see straight away where they pointed to. So I used Google Earth, naturally, and I saw the cursor kind of dramatically move across the screen to these ancient sites. And I'm writing them down. Anyway, as time went on, I thought I need to look at these coordinates all on a 2D map projection of the Earth, you know, all together. And I remember what Jim had said. He said about this dream about 23.5 degrees. So I started doing what I usually do, and that's look at the angles. And I looked at the angles between the coordinates. And 23.5 degrees came up straight away from Nazca to Giza. And then from Nazca to Caracol, which is a Mayan pyramid there, Belize. And that was 23.5 degrees, but in a perpendicular orientation to the first 23.5 degrees angle. And I thought, someone's yanking my chain. I thought, Jim, you know, what is this? Is this something you've made up yourself, you know? But then I found the angle of 51 from Nazca through High Brazil to the Greenwich Meridian. And I thought, if I mirror that, then you get a good representation in a pyramid. And then I realized that on the equator, the intersection point between the Greenwich Meridian and the equator, that's where the Queen's Chamber would be in a pyramid. And then I found all these other angles. But what it was, this image of the Great Pyramid, which was emerging from out of these coordinates, were all drawn up with just 3 angles. 23.5 degrees, which is the Earth's axis angle,
right?
Tilt angle. 11.75, which is half of 23.5 degrees, and 51, which is the side angle of the pyramid, which is 51.84 in degrees, but, you know, between 51 and 52. And it was actually 51.
Now, I just posted up a map that Gary sent me with the 6 coordinates there. And I want everybody to take a look at that. Giza is right there. We can see Giza. Then there is Naxos right above Giza. We have High Brazil off the coast of the United Kingdom. We have Mount Taishan, and that is in China. Then we have Sedona, Arizona, which is very interesting. We have Caracol, which is that's off of Belize, right? I believe.
Yeah.
And then Nazca, of course, down in Peru. And so everybody can go and look at these here. When you started to figure out where the decimal points were, what are when we identify each one of these points, you know, Sedona or Nazca or High Brazil, how accurate, I mean, is this like spot on, or is it like in the vicinity of Mount Taishan? I mean, how close are these coordinates?
Mount Taishan, it's pretty close, you know, where you could actually say it's on Mount Taishan. Giza, that is a very interesting one because it's between the 2 pyramids.
Right.
It's between G1 and G2. You'd think it would be on G1, you know, somewhere on G1. But there's a reason for that. You know, I found all this out later. All these other things, all this other information and data started to emerge from those coordinates. And I mean, it's not just this image you see with the pyramid being drawn up, the Great Pyramid in cross-section, showing the chambers inside. And if you note the other graphic I sent you, you'll see that there's a 3rd chamber that's being referenced. A 3rd chamber at the center of the pyramid that no one really knows about.
Right. Right. Very interesting. Yeah. We need to take a break right here. I wanted to, in Caracol, what's it pointing to specifically in Belize?
The Kana Pyramid. The Kana Pyramid. There's a pyramid there, a Mayan pyramid.
Very interesting. And what went through your mind as you started to map out the coordinates and where they are falling at? Is there an overall reason behind this? Sedona is very interesting too, as well.
Yeah, they're all interesting in their own way, and each of them provides more information. You know, they provide information collectively, and also each one isolated, or maybe two of them together. They'll produce other information. It's kind of weird. It's all kind of multi-leveled, you know. I have to tell you that I was skeptical. I am a skeptic. And I was skeptical about what Jim had handed me here, and I didn't know where it's coming from. I didn't know anything about the code until I started looking at some of the videos that were out at the time, which I completely missed at the time, and. Yeah, I'm completely skeptical about it. But the more I was finding, and I was thinking, Jim Penniston could not have devised this. You know, as time was going on, and I was finding more things. And also, as I said, some of this information was coming up, which was associated with certain things that were going on at the time I'd found it. I'd found the information. It was as if it was being released, like I'm on a time release. You know, it made sense with something that was going on at the time. And there were other things which I'll talk about later. And I thought there's no way Jim could have devised it. Look, Jim, he's a down-to-earth guy. He's a no-nonsense guy. There's no way that he would even have the patience to do something like this. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to, during the break, I'm going to post the second image of the same map with the coordinates, with a little bit of work done. Our guest tonight, Gary Osborn, we are discussing the Jim Penniston binary download. Happened before and after the Rendlesham Force incident. I am your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Stay with us. We'll be right back. More with Gary after this short break.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Again, visit ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Introducing the new Surfer Music app. Listen, fade or not, you know I love my music. This is my go-to for all things notes. The Surfer app is a brand new concept in music listening. Surfer is free, providing unlimited access to thousands of live streaming radio stations. Surfer is an exciting, interactive listening experience. Discovery and surprise are built right in. Surfer is your destination to discover and rediscover great live streaming music. It features high-quality audio streams, free access to music from thousands of live streaming radio stations, unlimited listening,
unlimited skipping. You get a music visualizer, and you can also select your favorite channels. Get it at the Apple App Store or Google Play. Just search Surfer Music or click on the Surfer banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We're also Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Grailian Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Gary Osborn. We're talking about his research with the binary number sequence that Jim Penniston received as a download during and after his encounter at the Rendlesham Forest incident. I don't know where to start because it is complex, but I will say this, that... I'm sorry. I will say this, that the numbers start to repeat here, right? 23.5, 23.5. So what are we looking at in the second image?
Yeah, as I said, it's there's three angles. It's drawing up the Great Pyramid just using just these three angles, 23.5, 11.75, which is half of 23.5, and 51, which is the side angle of the Great Pyramid. So you think to yourself, well, why is it using the Earth's obliquity angle, tilt angle? And, you can read things into that. What is this about the Earth's angle being, the Earth's tilt angle? Why? Why is the Earth being tilted an unnatural condition? Should it be upright? I mean, these were things that I was thinking about when I was doing my research into the references made to this angle in all these different sources throughout history, long before I started work on this code. And it's kind of weird because I'm thinking, why should I be working on this code? It's reflecting back at me my own research with these 23.5 angles, and especially with that angle being in the Great Pyramid, which is where I found it, and it's there drawn up using these coordinates. So yeah, people would think straight away, this is, it's all been devised. It's by and they're using your work, which is why you're working on it. And I thought, well, am I projecting what I found into what I'm finding? All these things I kind of played with, these ideas, and were coming to me, and me trying to work all this out. But now I've been on this for nearly 10 years now, and there's so much information. That's the initial information that you're looking at in that image. There's a lot of other information that's come out of those 7 coordinates. There's so much that it could fill 3 volumes.
So take us through this. Okay, we've got Nazca here. We've got High Brazil. Sedona is left hanging off to the left by itself. We've got a perfectly formed pyramid here. So where did you start?
I found the 23.5 angle first from Nazca to Giza. That was the first one I found. Naturally, when you find that angle and you find the 51 side angle, what becomes the pyramid in that image, I mean, you mirror it. Yeah, you mirror it to the east of the Greenwich Meridian, and then you've got this triangle, which is like the cross section of the pyramid because of the chambers that the other angles are pointing to. You see, like you've got the 11.75 angle from, I'm not looking at it, by the way, I'm looking at a blank screen here. 11.75 angle from Sedona, and 11.75 angle from Taishan, which are pointing to the internal chambers of the pyramid, you see. And then you've got the mirror coordinates of High Brazil, or High Brazil. My wife says that's how the Irish would, that's how they would pronounce it, High Brazil. And that happens to be a place in Germany, which is the Biotechnic Park, yeah, where they do DNA research. And then this is another thing, right? I was going to get onto this later, but I'll talk about it now. And I don't know what made me do this, all right? But this was sometime, maybe a year or two after I first began work on or studying these coordinates. In the Giza coordinates are embedded the Svalbard Doomsday Vault coordinates. If you take the last 4 digits of each of the latitude and longitude coordinates, you take the 4 last digits of each and use those as a set of coordinates, they take you straight to Svalbard, about 16 miles from the Svalbard Seed Vault. Now, that really kind of rocked me because that's what was in our book. It's what was in the book I wrote with Scott Creighton. The Svalbard Seed Vault was featured in that book along with Giza, because obviously the book, the Giza Prophecy about Giza. But what it was Scott's theory that maybe the Great Pyramid and the other pyramids of Giza were used as kind of store houses, kind of store rooms. The rooms inside the pyramid were used to store things of the civilization or the kingdom in the event of a catastrophe of some kind, just like the seeds are stored in the Svalbard Seed Vault. I mean, I assume you know about the Svalbard Seed Vault.
I do.
Right, so that was featured in the book, and it's probably the only book that came out at the time that featured both Giza and the Svalbard Seed Vault.
Okay, Gary, I'm going to let you know you're dropping out, and you need to get closer to your router. The dropouts are happening too often. So whatever it is that is causing these dropouts, I need our audience to stay engaged. Okay.
Yeah, so do I. I'm right next to the router. That's the thing, Jimmy. I'm right next to it.
Okay.
I'm in the office. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's.
So I don't know what to.
Okay, let's continue. The point from Nazca at 51 degrees going straight through High Brazil the coordinates for High Brazil, the way that it's laid out in this presentation on this map, how accurate is that? And what I mean by that is, if you go 51 degrees off of the coordinate for Nazca, that is presented here, 14.701.505, going off of that, it goes straight through that coordinate for High Brazil.
Yes.
That's beyond coincidence. And then
the actual degree is 50.80, all right, which is almost 51. You see, what I did was I did a close-up using Google Maps. I stitched it all together. I made close-up, zoom-in close-ups of each section of the map and then stitched them together. You see what I mean? So I would get a 25% close-up of the whole 2D map projection of the Earth. And I then measured the angles again, and the angle from Nazca to Giza was 23.6, not 23.5, but close enough. The angle from Nazca to Caracol was 23.5. The angle from Nazca through High Brazil to the Greenwich Meridian was 50.8, but almost 51. You know, close enough. So I think that these discrepancies, these small discrepancies, are natural with something like this because there's so much information that certain things needed to be, it needed to be kind of, and I put it, what's the word? It needed to, there was other factors in the map, that would compromise certain measurement and alignments. You see what I'm saying?
Well, yes, because
it needed to be saying something, but it also needed to be saying other things. Other information had to emerge from it. So certain compromises had to be made, with those alignments. So it's not absolutely spot on, but enough for you to read what you see there in front of you.
Yeah, well, when you so when you look at the side view and you look at the three the three chambers, certainly the Queen's Chamber and the King's Chamber are represented here from a side view.
Yeah.
When we look at this is what we see. But for somebody to put this together, obviously a few considerations a long time ago, number one. Two, possibly off planet, where this is coming through a download. And then the third part of it is to have these coordinates lay out like this on a modern day map seems nearly impossible. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a half a degree off, half of a tenth of a degree off, I should say, not a degree off. Is pretty extraordinary, don't you think?
Yeah. Remember that it's being drawn up with 3 angles only. I mean, it's beyond chance. It's beyond coincidence. This, it was devised intentionally.
And the that. 3 angles that we're talking about are 11.75, 23.5, and 51 degrees. Correct?
Yeah. 23.5 is the tilt angle of the Earth, roughly, because it's 23.43, really. But 23.5 is what I use in textbooks, as a rough figure. 50.8, it's the Great Pyramid side angle. And 11.75 is after 23.5, as I said.
All of this,
and
now,
they actually...
when we are looking at Penniston's notebook, and these sequences put together in the notebook, did you go back and double check the binary sequences in the notebook? And were there numbers that were left out in between the binary sequences?
No numbers were left out. These are the coordinates that Joe had determined from the many permutations that you could come up with those numbers, moving the decimal point around. But you see, they were the right ones because it produced this image, it produced this graphic. I mean, it's funny because it's like a kid's drawing. It's like a kid's dot-to-dot drawing. It seems kind of, it looks like a kid's drawing. But I can tell you the other information that emerges from the code is really, I don't know, it's complicated and very mathematical, and the geometry, you know. So even though this initial information that emerges, and I mean, this was the first, I don't know, information that came out of the code as I was studying it. All the other stuff came later, but this was the initial information that emerged when I was first working on it. And this really set a precedent for all the other information, which is associated with that, about the Great Pyramid and also Giza. But as you can see, do you see the Azores? The Azores are referenced there with the golden spiral.
Yeah, right in the middle. The which is very interesting for everybody to go and look at it. In the second image that I posted, there's a red triangle in the middle with all of the intersections in the beginning of the Fibonacci sequence, and that is the Azores right there. Now, my other question was that started to get away from me is this. With the coordinates, with the numbers, without the decimal points, but with the numbers, were they sequenced with north and west in the sequence?
Yeah, they were. Huh. Yes, they were, yeah.
Huh. Absolutely incredible. And so the number sequences were in order, right? Like with High Brazil, 52.09, blah, 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 north, 1313, blah, 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 west. Those two coordinates were in order. They weren't in separate spots in the code. They were actually in order in the code.
In the running order, yeah. In the running order, yeah. As they appear in the pages of the binary code that Jim wrote down, 16 pages.
And
yeah, and I want to say Göbekli Tepe, yeah? I'm dying to say it.
Yeah.
Because Göbekli Tepe, yeah, is on that latitude. You see that?
I do.
You know where the Azores, and you've got Naxos, which is the island in Greece, one of the Greek islands, which is where the Temple of Apollo is. It looks like a great gateway. And, yeah, Göbekli Tepe is on that same latitude, that same parallel.
And it would be even more shocking to me if the second coordinate, because the first one is there, 37.11, blah, 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 north, which is the parallel for Göbekli Tepe. If the west or
and you've heard about that, the 37.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard about that, haven't you? The 37th parallel.
Yeah, I've spoken about it many, many, many times on the show.
Highway.
Yes, spoken about many times on the show. And the 38.922 east, if that was in the binary, then we've got a whole nother conversation happening here, because that would be extraordinary.
There's lots of conversations coming out of all this.
And before
come out of binary code, there's lots
right.
to talk about.
And before we head to the break, I want to get back to Sedona. I understand the 1175 coming off of Sedona, but why do you think Sedona was in the coordinates when it's not placed inside of the pyramid itself in the map?
Yeah, I think there's other factors. You know, each of these coordinates also, and this is the reason why I was saying there's this that was the word I was looking for, inexactitude issue. Yeah, with these angles. Because, you know, these coordinates also provide other information that they've been chosen, not just for this map, but there's other factors that relating to these coordinates. They might be window areas, you know, where what I call neutral point.
And that's what you're referring to in Sedona? Right. And so with Sedona, as you enlarge...
Like vortices.
Yeah, what exactly did this point to in Sedona?
It wasn't it wasn't a specific place, but Jim and others went there. They took an expedition there a few times, and they noticed some strange anomalies going on at that place. So you'd have to talk to Jim about that.
Very interesting. All of this is interesting. And
It is, yeah.
Now, I want to talk about High Brazil specifically. A lot has been made about this High Brazil location with the binary download. What can you tell us about that? And also with because you're from the United Kingdom, right?
Yeah.
And when we look at maps of this general area, is this where High Brazil actually is? In that there's been a lot of expeditions, there's been a lot of research gone into High Brazil. How close are we to this being the actual location of High Brazil?
I think it's fairly close. I mean, there's been satellite images of that area using heat maps and that kind of thing. I don't know. They're on the internet somewhere. I meant to actually send you something on that. But it's in that vicinity. But then again, you see, we're talking about this inexactitude issue. Maybe not exactly where the coordinates are pointing to. Because if you go east from those coordinates, you mirror them east, they go to this place in, where is it? In Germany. I'm trying to think of the name of the place. It's the biotechnology park anyway. And that there's a connection there with this place because it's studied with DNA research. And I want to, maybe I'll get on to talk about that later or some other time, but that is connected to the information that's coming out. You know, the themes that are related to the information that's emerging from the code.
Now, before we head to the break, I want to continue talking about these different degrees that are here. 23.5 in the tilt axis of the Earth. Modern day science, I can go back 300 years. Speaking about this is one thing. But presenting it like this is something else altogether. And then going back to the ancients and what the ancients knew, that's a whole nother subject. How is it possible? How is it possible throughout history before the modern invention of telescopes and the ability to make these measurements with modern geometry and physics and math, going with the cosmology side of this, how is it possible that the ancients knew about the tilt axis of the Earth?
Yeah, I've gone into that in some depth because, as I said, when I was researching these references to the angle, I just it's not something that I think was something that was a reality, but there was this belief that the Earth should be upright. You know, that it's out of balance. And that's another thing with the code. One of the themes in the code, I think one of the most important themes in the code is this theme of balance. You know, that is something that we have to, I don't know, just focus on the balance.
The balance of what, Gary?
You know, this is one of the themes in the code.
Okay, we're breaking up. Let me ask you again. We're breaking up. The balance of what?
In terms of consciousness, the opposites. We seem to have our mind on this and that, and there's this neutral point that we should be focusing on. At that point of balance between opposites. This is one of the themes of the code.
Right. I'm going to take a break right here, Gary, and I want to reset this audio. It's getting really tough for us here to continue. So let's do that. We'll take a break right here. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Gary Osborn. I apologize for the audio. I'm going to do a reset, and we'll see if we can get it back. I'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. Introducing the new Surfer Music app. Listen, Fadernauts, you know I love my music. This is my go-to for all things notes. The Surfer app is a brand new concept in music listening. Surfer is free, providing unlimited access to thousands of live streaming radio stations. Surfer is an exciting interactive listening experience. Discovery and surprise are built right in. Surfer is your destination to discover and rediscover great live streaming music. It features high-quality audio streams, free access to music from thousands of live streaming radio stations, unlimited listening, unlimited skipping. You get a music visualizer, and you can also select your favorite channels. Get it at the Apple App Store or Google Play. Just search Surfer Music or click on the Surfer banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go Beckley Teppy.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Are you intrigued by paranormal talk radio? You'll love the new paranormal radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the paranormal radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Gary Osborn. Want to remind everybody, tomorrow night, Laird Scranton is going to be here. We're going to be talking about his new book, Primal Wisdom of the Ancients. And then Wednesday night, Greg Hausch, a full night of artificial intelligence. Our guest tonight, Gary Osborn. And I just reset the audio, and we've switched over to a phone line. Gary, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I don't know what that is, because no one is using up any of the bandwidth,
It's okay.
And you were dropping out, and it was kind of putting me off, really. And
we
were talking about balance, weren't we?
Yeah, we were talking about balance. So let's get straight back to it. When we are talking about these three important coordinates, and I want to re-emphasize and do a sort of reset on what we were talking about. The image that we posted up on our feed is based on three fundamental numbers: 51 degrees, 11.75, and 23.5. Yeah. The 51 degrees, I think any of us will recognize that number as being the side angle of the Great Pyramid. The 23.5 is the tilt axis of our Earth. Our Earth does not turn straight up and down, north and south. It is tilted to 23.5 degrees. Now, the 11.75, where does that number come from?
It's half of 23.5 degrees. It's 23.5 degrees divided by 2.
It's 23.5 divided by 2. Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
so it's still associated with the Earth's obliquity angle.
But everything in your research is based on those 3 degrees.
In this map, from these coordinates, they're just drawing up this image, this 2D image of the Great Pyramid in cross-section, just using those 3 angles. What's the odds against that?
Yeah, it's pretty extraordinary to look at. And for me, it's, well, okay, obviously the image of the pyramid, and we have 51 degrees there. That's easy enough to do. But it's the intersection of all of these other points on the map, not only with the intersection of the lines in the math, because that's not coincidence, but Naxos and the 37th parallel, of course, and the significance of that, and that going straight through Göbekli Tepe, and Nazca reaching up to these other points, and the intersections there are pretty crazy. To have Nazca at 23.5 degrees go to Giza and intersect there, I'm blown away by it, actually.
Yeah, and there's that central chamber. Now, when we were talking about this, Jim and I were talking about this, and I said, you know what, it's a dead end. Because there's no way that the authorities in Giza, in Egypt, are going to allow us to go digging in the Great Pyramid, yeah? So I thought, this is like a dead end. I mean, why is it? Okay, it's leading us to this chamber in the center of the pyramid, or what? I don't know, whatever is there. But how are we going to get in there? And the thing is what else is it saying? It's given us that chamber, and it's given us the Azores, yeah. And in the literature, in the alternative history literature, it's saying there's a chamber that's to be found at Giza. I mean, they say it's under the Sphinx, but there's a chamber it's pointing to in the Great Pyramid. And they've always said that Egypt is the legacy of, the lost land of Atlantis, And people have said that Azores is a likely place, the likely region for Atlantis.
Well, and there's other things about the Azores that have come to light in the last couple of years, and it's my opinion that which is right now the research in the Azores is completely underfunded or unfunded, but there is a lot going on in the Azores that is starting to come to light, and I think the Azores are going to become more and more significant as time moves on.
Yeah, and the other thing is that now, I mean, me and Jim had that conversation about this being a dead end before they started to scan the pyramids, with these muon particle detectors. And they found that void, that large void, which looks like a replica of where it's the same it's not the same size, but it's angled as the same as the Grand Gallery leading up to the King's Chamber. So it's like this other Grand Gallery is leading up to the central chamber at the center of the pyramid.
Now, ultimately, Gary, the question has to be asked: what is it that is being sent to us? What is it? What is the information here that we need to get?
The themes are there. This is something I was talking with Mon-Thu as well. He's saying the themes are there. You know, the Atlantis, the chamber. It's if you were skeptical about it, you'd laugh. Yeah. Who devised it? I still don't know who devised it. Jim didn't devise it. I know that. Who's devised this? Who's leading us to this information? I mean, people said that the code is something that is that was meant to ridicule the RFI, but it looks like it's giving us information that's been kept secret, you know, for hundreds of thousands of years. I haven't shown you everything yet. I mean, this is just the initial information that came out of those coordinates. There's all this other information. I mean, Göbekli Tepe, yeah? Did you know that is exactly 1,080 kilometers from the Sphinx at Giza? And 1,080 is a processional number. You know, procession, the law of procession.
Right.
You know, that the cycle, the processional cycles, the great year is 25, 9, 20 years. And so 1,080 is a subdivision of the processional cycle. Now, all those numbers they all reduce down to 9. And there's other numbers in the measurements between the monuments at Giza, other processional subdivision numbers like 2160, 4320. You know, so there's subdivisions of the processional cycle. And not just that. I mean, this is all information that's come out of the code. I've been finding all this information about Giza. I mean, what it's given us about Giza, it's just mind-boggling. There's multiples of pi in the measurements between the monuments. And they're also at processional subdivision numbers, you know, the measurements.
Yeah, I've looked at this.
Meters, and in both meters and royal cubits.
Yes, I've looked at... Code. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Jimmy.
What I was going to say is that I've looked at these numbers, and not only the numbers, but the Fibonacci play off of Giza, and certainly off of the crown of the Sphinx, and how this plays out all the way up into the universe. It doesn't just start and end at the Giza Plateau. These numbers continue throughout time. And the odds of this happening by chance, it's very slim. The other part of this, Gary, is that when you have an elegant piece of furniture, or you have an elegant painting, or you have an elegant building that is pleasing to the eye, the reason for that is because it's perfect. And then when you go back and you start to look at the significance of the perfection of the aesthetic, then the other numbers pull out of it. You can get pi, you can get the golden number out of just about anything that is aesthetically pleasing. And so is it that Greek architecture or Roman or Egyptian or Asian, right, or Chinese is has pi, has the golden number, has the Fibonacci sequence applied to it because it is so aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and that you can get these numbers out of anything. Which came first? You know, I don't know. I don't know how much the ancient Egyptians knew about pi and the golden number. Or is it that it's just elegant and it is just correctly designed because it's beautiful? You know, I don't know which came first.
Right. Was it built by the ancient Egyptians? That's the thing. That's why.
Right.
I'm questioning this now. And me and Mon-Thu, we've had some really great conversations about this. Where has this come from? You know, these coordinates, this code. who devised it.
Well,
why is it giving us this information?
That's right.
What is it leading to?
Which goes back to my point. It probably goes beyond aesthetics. It goes beyond beauty and goes beyond coincidence. That there's something much more intelligent here, than an ancient culture that knew how to make things beautiful. There's something else here that's much more sensitive. I want to get to really quick Mount Taishan over in China, where these coordinates are there. One, for the mountain, that's the first thing. But the second, it also lays out correctly with the geometry in your map. What is Mount Taishan?
It's a sacred mountain. I need to, you see, what I'm doing is I'm putting all this together in the second book, and I'm going to have to write chapters for each of the coordinate sites, and give the history on them all. This is something I'm putting together in a moment. So, even though I've been working on this for 10 years, I've been working on the information that's come out of the coordinates. I haven't really had a good look at each of those sites and the historical significance of those sites. I've read up on them, but I haven't actually put it all together where it makes sense in my mind why those 7 sites are all being targeted.
Right.
Is there some connection between those sites? Was there a historical connection between those ancient sites?
Now, although I just had Jim on the show, the timeline of when these binary numbers were written down in his notebook, as far as you know, how close to this was it to the actual Rendlesham sighting dates, those 3 days?
Yeah, he touched that craft early in the morning of the 26th, which is Boxing Day in the UK, 26th of December, 1980, and it was that night where he couldn't get to sleep, and then he started writing down the binary code string the next morning on the 27th, the morning of the 27th.
And the reason why I feel that is important is because when this happened for Jim, I think it goes beyond reasonable doubt that he would know about Sedona, about Caracol, about Nazca, Giza, High Brazil, Mount Taishan, all of these, and Naxos, right? Down to map coordinates. That's something that wasn't part of Jim's life back then, was it?
No, and really, people have been saying, why has it taken Jim 30 years to come out with the code? Why did he just sit on it for 30 years? Well, you know why, because it was during the Prometheus entertainment shoot of Ancient Aliens. They were on the set, and John Burroughs asked about a date in the notebook, and Jim leafed through it, and the pages of binary code, which he kept at the back. He didn't want anyone to see the binary code. He didn't want to see people to see the ones and zeros, because to him it was like a traumatic time in his life, and he thought, he was going nuts when he wrote down his ones and zeros. He didn't know it was binary code at the time. So it came as a shock when John noticed them, and then Linda Moulton-Howe noticed them, and she said, "Oh, that's binary code, Jim." And he'd already talked about it under hypnosis, and I think she put the transcribed what he said during the hypnosis session in her book. What was it called? I'm trying to think now. What was the book she had out which had his binary code?
No, I don't remember.
I think it was 90. It was 97, 96 or 97 when she brought the book out. Glimpses of Other Realities. That's it. And so that was found October 2010. Okay, during the film shoot. And did you know that the funny thing about this is that it came out on the Ancient Aliens episode, which was televised on the 30th of December 2010, okay? It's exactly 30 years to the day when Jim was taken in for interrogation, given the sodium pentothal, and they tried to block and suppress any mention of the binary code. They tried to block that part from his memory. It was 30 years to the day.
You're talking about glimpses of other realities, high strangeness.
Yeah, that's it. But I'm saying that it was 30 years to the day from when they tried to suppress his memory of the binary code on the 30th of December 1980 to when Ancient Aliens first gave it out in public about the binary code on the 30th of December 2010.
And that book came out in 1998, and you also had 98. But you ran into Nick Pope in 1997. What happened then?
Yeah, that was by chance. I was living in Surrey, just outside London at the time, in 97. And my local was this pub called, what was it? Trying to think what it is now. It was at this place, it was a market, which was called the, I'm forgetting now.
Okay, it was a market, no big deal. We don't need the name.
Wait a minute, the pub was the William Morris,
okay.
That's right. And there was this market there, and this pub was on the river. And it used to be my local. I used to go and have a pint after work there, and then I'd go home. And one night, Nick Pope walks in, and he's at the bar, and he's ordering a drink, and I thought, this is like he's walked into my reality. I've seen his picture in a few magazines, and I thought, I'll have to go over and introduce myself, because really I wanted to talk about the experience I had in 93. And at the time, when he came into the pub, I mean, I was kind of looking back at this experience and thinking it might have something to do with the UFO phenomenon in some way. So I introduced myself, and we met up several times at that pub to talk about my experiences. And when I mentioned it might have something to do with Kundalini, he didn't know what that was, and at the time, and I don't know, we just went our separate ways after that. I don't think he could kind of connect it to the UFO phenomenon, and so we went our separate ways. But what I didn't know at the time was that he was in touch with Jim Penniston. He was working on the Rendlesham incident. And, Jim told me that he'd never told Nick Pope. Nick Pope never told Jim that he'd met up with me in 97. And Jim hadn't told Nick that he'd got in touch with me, in 2010. So they didn't know. And it's just weird, one of those weird things. So why is it that I would meet up with Nick Pope by chance in 97, and then Jim Penniston gets in touch with me, in 2010 to get me to work on the code? It's just weird.
Yeah, the universe is strange when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like there's this kind of synchromesha phenomena going on, and you're kind of tied into something. And it's the same with Jack Safadi, the physicist. I got to know him, and I was put on this list of email recipients, and there's all these other people on there. And a lot of them were from the Aviary, the Aviary group, UFO group.
Yep. I'm very familiar with Jack's email list.
Yeah, right. And I got talking to quite a few people on there. I mean, I contributed to some of the discussions, but I got talking to people, in isolation, And some of these physicists, a few of them, had opened up to me because they asked me why I was there, and I was talking about my experience I had in 93. And they said they'd had similar experiences. They'd had the same kind of experience, and I often thought these physicists are at the cutting edge of physics. It seems they have something in common. This experience. I mean, Jack Sephardi, he said that he had a Kundalini experience.
What have you when you go as an outsider and you jump into these circles, and like you said, some of these this email list that we're talking about right now is a very private thing, and I don't want to divulge anything further on that. But the list of names in this circle is pretty intimidating. And
it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And so when
Intel agencies.
There's no question about it. But for you coming in from the outside and getting involved in this, and you start to see these conversations that are going on there, what's going through your mind? I just your insight on this would be very interesting for me to hear.
I didn't know what I was getting into at the time. You know, I'd contacted Fred Alan Wolf, the physicist, and he got in touch with Jack Sephardi because I asked him a few questions. Because some of the insights that were coming to me after my own experience were about mini black holes, you know. Black hole white holes at the centers of elementary particles, you know. And I asked Fred Alan Wolf a question about that, and he said, well, he didn't say anything. He just put me straight on the Jack Sephardi, and Jack Sephardi answered it. And he said, yeah, that's something that we've been working on, you know. I said, what about black hole white holes that exist at the center of each and every one of us, you know, our consciousness? And he said, yeah, that too. I've been working on that too. He said, they're naked singularities and they're linked into consciousness. You know, that was his answer.
I don't even know what that. I don't even know what that means.
Well, I started up a conversation with him about it, and that's how I got put on his list. So I must have said something right. Because he was talking, that's something else he mentioned. He said, what do you think the UFO phenomenon, what do you think this is? Well, he got someone else to ask me. And I said it could be that, with the power of our own minds, you know, that consciousness, you can travel, you know, out-of-body experiences, that kind of thing anyway. So you're like a starship anyway, you know, your consciousness. If you're able to find a technique in how able to get into the hypnagogic state and then have these out-of-body experiences. And I said, perhaps this is like a collective out-of-body experience for these people who pilot these craft, and they're able to enter into other realities.
Well, just by saying that, you're right in Jack's wheelhouse now. I mean, that's exactly. That's exactly what he wants to hear.
So I was put on his list,
right?
And then I had conversations with people, and then I started having one-to-one conversations. And when we were talking about, this experience, and then they opened up to me, but they didn't want me to tell anybody else. You know, I'm not going to name any names, but they had the same experience, so they gave me their version of what happened to them, and it had the same, you know, symptoms, you know, the same, I don't know, things that they went through with this experience. And
I just have to ask, how long have you been on the mailing list? How many years?
I was on there from 1999 until 2002 or 3. And recently I was put back on it because Jim got in touch with Jack.
Right.
He said, do you want a copy of the new book? And I met Jack. I actually met up with Jack because we went to Uri Geller's house. You know, we went with the author Philip Gardiner. You know.
Wait! Hold on! Stop! Pump the brakes. Gary, you went.
I'm going to drop. I'm sounding like I'm dropping names here. But,
right. Hold on. Was this in Haifa, in Israel?
No, this was on the Thames. He's got a house on the Thames.
Okay, so this was Uri Geller's house in London.
Yeah, and I was in the UK at the time, and Philip Copeland's got in touch with me. He said, "Do you want to go to Uri Geller's house?" I said, "Yeah, why not? Yeah, that'd be an experience." He said, "Jack's coming along. Jack's Farley. He's going to be in a hotel. We're going to meet up with him there, and we're going to drive to Uri's house and have a chat." And Philip Copeland, you know, he's no longer with us.
No, he's no longer with. You know what's funny? Out of Everybody on this planet that I wish I could have interviewed in the past, Philip Coppens is right there on the top of everything. And
he was a good friend. He was a close friend. We used to meet up in the inn, the museum over the road from the British Museum.
Okay, so it's you, Philip Coppens, Jack Sarfati, and you guys.
Mark Pilkinson was there.
Mark, so who wasn't there? Okay, so all of you guys go to Uri Geller's house, and what did you do at Uri's?
We were talking about each of our experiences, and Jack opened up about his 1953 experience, where he was contacted by what he calls an on-board computer that was orbiting the Earth from the future.
Right.
And it was in 1953 when he was 13 years old, and he said that his mother saw him in a trance while he was on the phone. But he was told by this voice, and it was a metallic voice, saying that he'd meet up with people of his own kind who, on his wavelength kind of thing in 20 years' time, and he'd be working with them. That was 1953, and in 1972, 73, that's when Uri Geller came over and he was being tested at SRI, and those places, and Jack Sarfati sat in on some of those sessions with Hal Puthoff, and I think Dean Radin.
Dean Radin.
Russell Targ.
That's right, that's right. Wow, I knew nothing about any of this. This is incredible. Let's take a break here. Well,
okay, take a break,
Yeah, I got to take a break. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Gary Osborn. Got lots more to talk about. That was interesting. We got lots more to talk about. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black, more with Gary, when we come back after this short break. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
So, are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system, and get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clear, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com, and like me, you'll be glad you did.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony. Damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. My mind's been blown. I'm almost speechless. Our guest tonight, Gary Osborn. And we're talking about the new book, which is The Rendlesham Enigma, Book 1 Timeline. I have it here, co-authored with Jim Penniston, and we're going through the binary sequences that have been decoded, and with 7 locations and their coordinates. We've got all of the mapping and that information up in our feed, and you can go and look at all of that. Right before the break, we were talking about Jack Sarfati and Philip Coppins and Mark Pilkington and others, and yourself over at Uri Geller's house. That's pretty mind-blowing, and that must have been an amazing evening. But
it was an amazing day. I mean, he showed us his car, is a Rolls Royce, and he had all these spoons and forks attached to it, all bent, you know.
I've seen those images. But this is the thing that I want to get into now. Is that we're talking about the binary numbers and the coordinates, and we've got all that information up in the feed, but there's also the symbols that Jim was exposed to and ran his hands over. What can you tell us about that?
You see, that's something I never really focused on because I was focusing on the coordinates from the code. But it's been 10 years I've been working on it. You would think that I would kind of slip that in there somewhere about the glyphs and what but I left that to others to look into. Yeah, so that's something you will have to talk with Jim about, and he'll probably give you an update on that, on whatever anybody's found on those glyphs.
Can Rendlesham get any crazier?
Yeah. Yes, it can, I'm sure. You know what? All this information is I don't think I'm going to be able to get it all into the second book, but there's a whole lot of stuff to come out. And, you know, I've been chomping at the bit to say something about all this. So I've turned down radio shows because I wanted to talk to somebody who was familiar with the RFI and, you know, pretty good kind of idea on the witnesses. You know, I had a pretty good profile on each of them. And that person is you. I mean, you've been talking to all the witnesses, I think. I mean, you know.
I have talked to everybody that was there. Yeah, I certainly have. I have stated, Gary, over the years, there are a few incidents that we need to constantly stay focused on. And at the very top of my list is Rendlesham. And Rendlesham is there for a lot of different reasons. One, military. That's the first thing. Second, documentation. We've got all of that there. And third, which is probably most important, is I consider this a modern event. Now, it's 40 years ago now, but all of the witnesses that were there are still here. We don't have to get things secondhand, third hand. We can talk to everybody specifically and ask questions and try to figure out how to move forward. That's what makes Rendlesham so important to me. What I have found is that each one of the witnesses individually has got their own experience and their own version of events. Some things, cross-pollinate. They do. Okay, that's there. But there's the other part of it that everybody's got their own experience, their own version of events. And that's what I find most interesting. For you, what is most intriguing about Rendlesham?
Obviously, the code, which I've been working on. I mean, Jim wanted to get a book done about the incident itself. He wanted to give out his own, what happened to him and the aftermath, in the years subsequent to the experience he had in 1980. And I agree with him. I thought that it needed to be done as a foundation to then get a book out about the code, So establish what happened to Jim, first of all, and then write about the findings of the code. So the code has been important for me. Not so much it's the people politics that gets a bit muddy, kind of, for me, it's not a very nice experience to, get in the middle of all the, the conflicts between them all. And, it's kind of, it's disconcerting, while I've been working on the code, I've had to also get embroiled in some of the conflicts that have been going on. And so that part of it I could do without, the most important thing about the Rendlesham incident for me is the code. And I think that is the most important thing.
Well, and
it's leading to something,
Well, and you just mentioned before that there were a couple of things that you needed to talk about. What are those?
Oh, you mean the fine structure constant? How long we got?
Well, you just said, I'm paraphrasing here, but there were a couple of things about Rendlesham that you needed to talk about, and you were holding off until Fade to Black in your conversation with me. What were those 2 points?
I don't know. I'm sure it was about the code, really. And the most important thing at the moment is this fine structure constant discovery. And Jim's listening to this, and I got a message from him. He's saying the fine structure constant. Talk about that.
Hello, Jim. How you doing, man? Okay. The fine structure, constant. The fine structure constant. Let's continue with this.
Yeah. So back in 1975, or was it? I don't know. In the 80s, maybe it might be 75. Carl Sagan, he said that if there was a message, I'm trying to find it. I'm actually trying to find it on here. The message came from...
It's okay. Continue.
Yeah, Carl Sagan said that what would convince him of a message from an advanced civilization would be the inclusion of the nuclear fine structure constant. Okay, and then there's that film came out in 2018 called UFO with Gillian Anderson, which the plot is that this message was sent in binary code, and it contained the fine structure constant. Well, this is exactly what's happened with the binary code from Jim's download. The binary code and the coordinates, 2 of those 7 sets of coordinates are pointing to a latitude that ran through Giza in 1980. Have you got a calculator with you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And one of the images I sent you, if you remember, there was 2 pages. One was for the inverse number of the fine structure constant. Have you got that?
No, I don't. But what are the numbers?
It's the inverse number of the fine structure constant is 137.0359998.
Okay, say it again.
137.0359998.
Okay, got it.
Now that is the inverse number of the fine structure constant. That's the reason why the number 137 is has been like a mystery for physicists, you know. Now, that when I say the inverse, you divide 1 by that number, and then you get the fine structure constant. So, look, let's do this again. Put 1 in, and then divide by this number.
1 divided by 137.035. 99908. Okay.
Now the number should be 0.00729735256993. Is that right?
Right. I've got it.
Right. Now, the inverse number is what comes up when you look at the latitude running through Giza, which I put this number in 29.
Okay, hold on. We're getting way ahead of us here. So let me pull up this image of Giza. Let me pull this up, and so I can see what it is going through Giza. Okay.
You can post that image if you like.
I have it here. Okay, so Giza is 29,977 and 31.131.
Yeah, but the latitude that's running through Giza, and which divides the phi ratio there, to which the pyramids are positioned, and it divides between 1 and 0.618, is called the Golden Cut latitude. Okay. And that Golden Cut latitude is this number. You need to put this in the calculator. 29.9.
Okay, hold on for a sec.
29.
I'm looking at it now. I have it. I have the image up and in front of me. 29. Okay, so
29.9766248.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You got that number in the calculator?
I've got it in front of me on your image. 9766248. Okay.
Right. Now multiplied by 32.
Multiplied by what?
32.
32.
And then divide by 7.
And then divide by 7. 137. Oh, it's the same number. Okay, got it.
Now, what's the odds against that?
Yeah, that's pretty strange. And
now, there's two coordinates from the binary code that are pointing to that latitude passing through Giza in 1980. And when I say passing through Giza in 1980, it's because of plate tectonics. There's a slow movement north-east, okay, about 51 degrees. Actually, 51 degrees side angle to the pyramid. But it's moving. The Giza and the African plate are moving at that angle of 51 degrees northeast at the rate of 2.15 centimeters a year, right? So, if you go back to 1980, that latitude, those numbers in that latitude would have been evident then in 1980, okay? Which is the year when Jim got the code, okay?
Okay, here is the image we are discussing. Okay, I'm posting this now in Twitter. Hashtag yeah, pretty interesting. Okay, 1841.
Right. Now this is the thing. Okay, every 4 years there's a new determination of the inverse number of the fine structure constant. Every 4 years, and it's announced usually the year before it's then published, okay? And the new determination was published on May the 26th, actually published on Wikipedia, on May the 26th, 2019, okay? And I think the last determination in 2014 was the last 3 numbers were different, okay, on the determination of the inverse number. Now, the number that was determined on the 26th of May 2019, which happened to be the very same time as I was working on that last chapter, came up with that number, 137.0 035998. Okay? And it was the new determination. And that is referenced in that latitude that passed through Giza in 1980. Just multiplying by 32 and dividing by 7.
What and I realize Carl Sagan mentioned this, and I remember everything happening in that movie UFO with Gillian Anderson and the young mathematician that was chasing this down, and didn't understand this. What the coordinates meant and what the numbers meant. Of course, the end of the movie is pretty extraordinary. And I thought that the movie had a message to it. But what do you think ultimately is going on? Are we suggesting something off-world that is getting involved with Giza?
Well, Jim, when he went through his hypnosis, what came out under hypnosis that this intelligence, or what he encountered in December 1980, was from the future. Okay? So, this information, it looks as if information has been sent back to 1980, which references a number that was only be determined in 2019. Using the latitude that went through Giza, and which divided the phi ratio geometry there to which the pyramids are positioned as the golden cut latitude. So not only do we have the fine structure constant given to 13 decimal places in 2019, but it's given to us via the latitude that passed through Giza in 1980, the numbers and the latitude.
What is it that we should deduce here, Gary? Well, I mean,
it seems that information's been sent back to the past that only makes sense in the present.
Well, yeah, I understand that part of it. But if we are going back to, we have to look at this so many different ways. One, the pyramids were built a long time ago, whether it's 5,000 years, whether it's 10,000 years. Who built it, why they were built, and things. All of that is up to theory, and so we have that part of it. We have Jim's input on this, where he was told, and I just got a tweet from him, by the way, with a smiley face, so he's listening. Is that these were not beings from another star system, but that it was us visiting from the future. So what is
Jack Safadi. Jack Safadi says that he believes that these are post-human AI conscious hybrids from the future. I mean, the intelligence behind the UFO or UAP phenomenon.
Right. So what is it that we should deduce from this? What are they trying to tell us about Giza?
Now, I was working on a book before I worked with Robert Bovell on his book, The Cosmic Womb, or was it just Cosmic Womb? And he asked me to give an appendix, put in there what I knew about the Great Pyramid and all the mathematics I'd found in it. You know, the pi, the number E, Euler's number, and other constants that I'd found in the Great Pyramid, in the structure. And I was actually working on a book at that time about the Great Pyramid, in addition to what I was doing with the code. And the working title I had for the book was The Timeless Conception, and the subtitle was Designing the Great Pyramid from the Future Present. Do you see what I'm getting at here?
I'm waiting. I want to know. I need these answers. You know, I've been on a quest, Gary, for a long time, and
this is something me and Manu have also discussed, because, as I said, he's been helping me with some of the recent findings in the code, and I don't know. It's just a theory, you know. I don't really believe anything 100%. You know, one of those people who like to sit at the centre of the room and just look down every door that's leading off from the centre. Do you know what I'm saying? Just look down, but never go down those reality tunnels. Just stay centred. So it's just a theory. And with this, it's like we're looking at the possibility that maybe the Great Pyramid was designed from the future, with information being sent back into the past.
Well, that would make a lot of sense.
And also the theory that this is a simulation. This reality is a simulation, and that maybe the intelligence behind the phenomenon, the UFO/UAP phenomenon, is probably the monitoring intelligence of this simulation we call life on Earth.
Well, one of the easiest ways to look at the construction of the Great Pyramids is that we can't assume that Stone Age man walked in out of the desert, out of the Sahara, and went from one thing in a couple of decades to the knowledge of how to quarry and build the pyramids out of thin air. Yeah. I'm not saying that aliens built it. That's not what I am suggesting here. Far from it. I don't know who built the pyramids, but the idea for the pyramids, the engineering and the math and everything else that is involved, which is layers deep of complexity, and I don't have the time to get into.
It's all encapsulated in that pyramid.
But somebody gave them instructions. Yeah. So to suggest that the information came from the future, somehow got to the ancient Egyptians and laid it out for them, I'm okay with that, because it's as valid of an idea, of a theory, as anything else that is out there. I find it interesting that Jim Penniston gets a download of binary information that points directly at Giza and High Brazil and Nazca and Sedona. This is very fascinating to me, and I just don't know what to do with it.
Primarily, it's given us the secrets of Giza as well. There's the Giza diagonal, which we haven't even talked about, but the code is pointing to that as a processional clock. So there seems to be this timeline that it's pointing to, which is laid out at Giza. It's encoded at Giza in this called the Giza diagonal by the Egyptologist Mark Lenner, who found this diagonal. The southeast corners of the pyramids are all kind of aligned with it.
Well, there is Forsaken just tweeted, and I'm in agreement with her in that she doesn't feel that anything has been deduced yet, that she's still waiting. And I'm with her on this. What is it that you have come to conclusions on? That, I understand that this information has come from the future to somehow go to the past. But the question is, Gary, why? Yeah. Why this information? What does it even matter? Why was it?
Why now? Why now? Yeah, why now? Because this really, it's all kind of related to what's probably going on right now in the world. That chamber that it's pointing to in the Great Pyramid, I mean, it's at a time when they're actually scanning the pyramids for chambers, so something might be found there. And whatever's in that chamber, if it's there, what will that lead to? What is it concealing? So we really don't know what the end game is with this. We're still finding things.
So what you're suggesting is that Jim was given information in this download pointing to Giza. Why we don't know.
Because something's been encoded at Giza. Okay, there's a timeline that has been encoded, and it's also given us the layout of the pyramids and the measurements that are multiples of pi and processional numbers in the measurements, like meters and royal cubits. It's given us the royal cubit, the measurement of the royal cubit in meters, so that we can decipher this information, the measurements at Giza. And the royal cubit is 0.5236 meters, which is pi divided by 6. And that's simple. You take a 1 meter circle and you just divide it by 6, and then you get the royal cubit.
Yeah. The question is why. I mean, why is it?
That's the key. I'm just saying that is the key to the measurements of everything at Giza, and it's given to us in the code. This is the reason why I've been able to find that information that I've given you in the graphics about the measurements at Giza and the fire ratio, what they're built to, and all that's come out of the code. So if the bottom line is that there is additional information in the code. It's not just these coordinates, what John Burroughs called points on a map. There is additional information that's come out of it. We haven't got to the end. We haven't got a conclusion of what all this information is leading to. But the fire structure constant there is like a wow signal, which shows that this must have been from an advanced civilization or
yeah, I agree with you. It's fascinating. And it's beyond coincidence.
The odds against all this is off the scale.
Well, it is. It is completely off the scale. How long till book 2 comes out?
As I said, I'm working on it now. I'm trying to complete it, but it's difficult because, I'm still finding things, and I've been working with Mon-Thu, and he's finding things mathematically,
Yeah, I agree. And Mon-Thu is great. Mon-Thu saves Vade, everybody. That's who we were talking about. Gary, the book is phenomenal. The Rendlesham Enigma, book 1 timeline, and the links for it are up at jimmychurchradio.com. I'm holding it up to everybody. This is a much needed read for everybody, not only with the UFO subject, but laying out everything about Rendlesham. It's comprehensive, and it's really well done. I want to thank you for that, and I look forward to not only having you on the show, but going into other subjects too and diving deep. Gary, enjoy the rest of your evening, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I'd like to talk to you again, Jimmy. Yeah? Yeah,
absolutely. And I look forward to it. Gary Osborn, this is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, and I'm going to take a quick break right here, and I'll do what I do every night after our guest. I will open up the phone line, 747-228-2051. Thank you, Gary. The links for Gary, his website, and everything else is over at jimmychurchradio.com. I'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at jimmychurchradio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Tepe.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to forbiddenknowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, forbiddenknowledge.tv. Again, visit forbiddenknowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I want to thank Gary Osborn for coming in. Great conversation. Opening up the phone lines. 747-228-2051. 747-228-2051. And the binary code. And that's what I want to talk about. And the coordinates that were laid out on these 7 points around the planet. When we get beyond coincidence, I think that's one of the most important things here that need to be discussed. What is the significance of these 7 points? And the fact that they were laid out by Jim with this binary code. Mount Taishan in China, Sedona, the extreme east and west of this. Very, very interesting to me. Nazca, right? High Brazil, Giza, Naxos, the Greek island, all fascinating things to me. I don't, when you have, this is, and I think this is the point for all of us, when you have these coordinates laid out in order, without numbers in between, the north and the south and the east and the west points being laid out after each one of these to give you these points in this grid system around the earth is, especially back then in 1980, is extraordinary to me. When you and I talked about this earlier in my opening statements on the show, which had nothing to do with the show tonight, but it has everything to do with chasing this stuff year after year after year. For me, going through 1,250 plus shows on Fade to Black, over 6.5 years, going on 7 years. We're going to enter our 8th year on the air. I have acquired knowledge that I can't even swim through anymore. I can't do it. And speaking with Gary tonight is another example of what I'm talking about here. What do we do with this? And you as listeners on this show, when you get this kind of information and you're compiling all of this, and how is it that you take this and move on and look at this? It goes beyond coincidence, way beyond that. There are no odds here that come into play. Now, going back, I know that Jim wrote this binary information down. And I don't know how many pages of binary numbers are involved here. or pulling up the coordinates and how binary numbers are related to specific numbers, and to pull out all of these points around the Earth. I don't know how that is done. Obviously, it has been decoded, and this is what we are given. I don't know. I simply don't know these things. I have been given the coordinates, just like you have. I've been given the information, and we look at all of this, and for Gary to go out and pull this information on a map with the coordinates with 3 degrees of information, 51 degrees, 23.5, the tilt of the Earth, and then 11.75, which is half of 23.5, and to pull all of this out, right? And I've posted the illustration out of 3 degrees. To have this come out, I don't know what to do with it. I know that there's something here. What is it that we are looking at? How does this take us forward? What is the purpose of having these coordinates sent to Jim in binary form, to have it decoded, to give us this? What is it? What is it that we're looking at here? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. When I didn't want to bring this up with Gary on the air, but I'll say this. There's a certain amount of engineering and information that ancient Egyptians had for the Giza Plateau. Okay? The layers of complexity that are involved there for ancient man. Now, I would just want you to sit down and imagine this for a second. We have the Nile Valley, we have Upper and Lower Egypt, we have a civilization that appears to have rose out of nowhere. If we go with the timeline that Egyptologists have given us on Giza, we are sitting here at the year 2020, and we back up 5,000 years, and we're going back to 3000 BC. Apparently, at 3000 BC, 200 years later, 2800 BC, 2700 BC, that short window, that short timeline, we went from tribes in Egypt to building the Step Pyramid, the Red Pyramid, the Bent Pyramid, the Giza Plateau in a matter of 100 years. That all of those monuments and everything that was built from Saqqara all the way up to Giza was done in an instant. To go to the Giza Plateau and build a limestone platform that is completely flat to the center of the earth, is completely flat and completely leveled. Then on top of that, after they level the limestone, then they cover that with a layer of stones, each one as big as a car or a truck, also leveled because they had to build a platform for the pyramid that's going to be built on top of it. The engineering knowledge of that happening, I just don't get it. The tools that are involved to build things level and then take it to the next step. That you're going to make this point towards magnetic north? Wait a minute here. So you have that aspect. And then the planning stages of not only getting the materials there, and I'm talking about 2.5 million stones, designing the pyramid, making sure that everything is correct and square to a 50th of a degree. How that happens in a planning stage, I don't have any idea, even with modern engineering today. So we have all of that, and we haven't even gotten to the pyramid yet. All of the pyramids that were built before, and I'm talking about Red, Bent, Dozier, Step, all of everything that happened before are built with the same construction crews, the same amount of people. The quarrying of the stones had to have happened. The feeding, the housing of these ginormous numbers of people to build each one of these that happened overlapping each other, leading up to the construction of Giza. Now, what they don't tell you with all of this is that the Great Pyramid was built, but so Khafre and Khufu were built at the exact same time. And if you go back right now and you look at the timelines of through any documentation that you can find, you can start at Wikipedia and you can go to any book. Any Egyptologist will tell you that Khafre and Khufu were built at the same time. So those 2.5 million stones that I'm talking about, the leveling of the plateau that I'm talking about, the leveling stones that were built on top of the leveled limestone hillet were actually times 2. So there weren't 2.5 million stones that were built, each level with the other, perfectly level. Every layer of the Great Pyramid. I'm not even getting to the Queen's Chamber, the King's Chamber, the subterranean chamber. I'm not even getting to that. I'm not getting to anything else about the pyramid, but that it was done times 2. That's the significance of what we're talking about here. It wasn't 2.5 million stones. It was 5 million stones. It wasn't one leveled section of the Giza Plateau. It was actually 2. So the 20,000 people that we have always been told that built the first, the Great Pyramid, it must have been 40,000 or 50,000. And that 20 years to build the Great Pyramid, well, it was also 20 years to build each one. And that somehow they built them both at the same time. Forget about what's going on in the interior of the Great Pyramid. Forget about that. Forget about the 300-foot tunnel that is dug out of bedrock going straight down to the subterranean chamber, perfectly square, perfectly straight. How does that happen? All of this was going on at the same time. So where does the knowledge to do this come from? That is my point. Where does the knowledge come from? I don't know how you can go from Stone Age man. This is before steel. It's before all of it's before no wheel, no knowledge of the wheel, no carts. That wasn't in play at 5,000 BC, 5,000 years ago. In fact, steel and everything else didn't happen for another 2,000 years. Where does the knowledge come from for this? Where we are getting into angles and math and sequencing. Where does all of that come from? How do you go from being a Stone Age tribe out in the middle of the desert to this in a couple of hundred years? That's the part that nobody wants to discuss. The knowledge came from somewhere. It did. You can't sit here as an Egyptologist, as an anthropologist, as a cosmologist, and try to convince me that a couple of dudes are sitting out in the desert and somehow think all of this up. And that it was all done. It was done. They figured it out in 100 years. They built Dozier. They built the Step Pyramid, and they screwed it up. And and eventually, just 100 years later, they had all of these crews over the entire population of Egypt is involved in building these structures, and they just happened to figure it out. And Giza was built. It doesn't work that way. And I mean, I am just speaking about true north. I'm speaking about being level. I'm speaking about perfect 90-degree corners, that it was built with 8 sides. But not getting into the King's Chamber, the relief chambers, the carving of red granite at Aswan and bringing that 500. I'm not bringing any of that into play. I'm just talking about the basics here. Where did that knowledge come from? Now, if somebody wants to suggest to me that it came as a download, that this was figured out because somebody was sent the information from the future, from the stars, now we are at a point where we can discuss this, because that makes sense to me. To just suggest that it was just figured out over 50 years, and between Dozier, between Bent and the Red Pyramid, they just figured it all out. And the reason why I don't buy into that, oh, by the way, 747-228-2051, and the calls that just came in are no longer there, so something is amiss here. So go ahead and call back, 747-228-2051, 747-228-2051. Is this to make these leaps in such a short period of time, to make these jumps in math, in engineering, in architecture and design, without computers, without a real actual written language? They had hieroglyphs were being figured out. And if you go from Mene at 3000 BC and how crude hieroglyphs work, certainly the Sumerian texts were being developed at the same time over in Mesopotamia, had nothing to do with Egypt. Right? So that 50-year, that 100-year, 150-year time span that we're talking about is short. It's short. It's short. There's not enough time for this type of education to come through, unless it was given to them from a higher technical culture from the past that was given to them, download from the future, download from the stars. This is easier to comprehend than to just suggest, ancient man just was smart and they had it all figured out. And there is another way that we have to look at it. And I do this constantly. There are so many out there that will say, Steve Jobs invented the cell phone. No, he didn't. Steve Jobs didn't invent the computer. He didn't invent no, all of this was acquired from a teacher from the past. It's a stair step of evolution. Nothing is really invented, right? It's a progression. It's a stair step. And just like with the cell phone and with the iPhone, this was from something that came before. There is no way, and there's not, and we have to base it on our education today and what we understand today with history today. There is no way that all of this just happened to have happened in the Nile Valley, touching up against the Sahara Desert, where this just fell out of the sky. And this was something that just happened. And it happened quickly over a couple of 100 years. When you go from 3000 BC to 2700 BC, right, that all of this fell out of the sky, well, it probably did. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy, this is Matt from Winnipeg. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, Matt, how are you?
Not bad. So I was listening to your show here, and I've got some pretty interesting information that would really blow your mind. You said that information has to come from somewhere, right?
I've said that over and over again. Yes.
Okay. Did you ever know, or did you ever learn this, that there is frequencies in quantum vacuum that seem to match the REM sleep patterns of human beings when you go to sleep? Did Did you know that?
I'm wondering how you're going to tie this into Giza.
Well, what happened? Well, if you look at, you said yourself, when you have the patents and information has to come from somewhere, right? If you look at, for instance, high-frequency gravitational waves by Dr. Backer, and I guess it goes back to the ATIP list, you will find that all information seems to link together with atoms across the universe. When you go to sleep or when you go into deep meditation, information is already in existence. So if you have to look outside of our universe inward, you have to find that if you were to accept that every person on this planet behaves like an iCloud or like every cell phone's got an address of information, then you will find that link of that system all links up together. So if you were to look for information based on the pyramids, then information would have had to come in from some external source, like, say, outside the universe inward, because all information would essentially be available. And if you knew how to tune yourself into sort of a deep sleep pattern or some really deep meditation, it might be possible to extract information from a sort of vacuum cloud, if you can understand what I'm saying in that sense. So if you understand what the pyramids were in that sense, you also understand that that there was measurements of the metric system thousands of years before it was invented, and that the longitudinal coordinate of where the Great Pyramid is right now rests on the exact speed of time, the exact speed of light in the inches per second measurement. And how did you know that particular imperial system thousands of years ago? Well, they already described that time, or linear time, has no bearing on consciousness.
Well, and back to my point, Matt, that having this information come from an external source, whatever it is, right? Whether it's from an ancient culture, from 50,000 years ago, from Lemuria, or from Atlantis, survivors of Atlantis, that's an external source, right? Where they brought this information forward. Did it come from the stars? Was it E.T.? Did E.T. do a drive-by and feed the information? Was it from another external source? You know, what Jim Penniston is suggesting, us from the future coming back and bringing this information in. All of this makes more sense than just waking up one day and going, you know what, let's level this to true north, and we're going to do it. You know, no, it doesn't happen that way. And I'll give you another example. One of the best examples for this that I can bring forward, and that is the domestication of wheat. That the domestication of wheat out of everything that has been done, and I'm talking about the Gutenberg press, right? One of the most significant inventions in all of mankind, of all of history. There are other seminal moments that we have in our timeline that bring us to where we are today. None of that happens without the domestication of wheat. And it was such a tremendous leap forward that I don't understand where that came from. Because at that point in our history, if we are to believe historians and anthropologists and where we were at that point, that true, actual, bona fide Stone Age man walking around in animal skins, that somebody said, hey, I figured it out. Right?
You know what else was weird? Since you mentioned wheat,
there was
domesticated cats.
Well,
the little cats, like a Maine Coon cat or a ragdoll cat that even on your picture there on your website. Like, sure, we have cats on this planet. We have tigers and lions and panthers. But the domesticated cat itself, there's been no paleontology record of its existence. We don't know where it came from. We know that it originated in Egypt, but the funny thing is we can't find any remnants of the bones of where they actually came from. That it's as if somebody just went around the planet, grabbed the whole pile of DNA, and made a cat and said, here you go. Because the weirdest thing is, somewhere on the pyramids, I can't remember exactly where, so I might be the one next to the Great Pyramid, they had a stone of the Set on there. And on there was an apology to man for some kind of conflict, or that they put humanity through a strife. So to make the perfect gift, he invented the cat in order to help us with remove rodent populations out of our wheat fields.
Well, and back to my point, and thank you for that, but back to my point. The wife comes home to their cave, and husband is inside of the cave, and she says, why aren't you out getting us dinner? And he says, well, I think I figured out how to domesticate wheat. I don't see that in play, and not in that kind of timeline where that was figured out by Stone Age man, and that it was just something that they did and they figured out. I'm just not buying into it. I'm not. I've got issues with that. He was told, some tribe was instructed on how, or maybe even given the seeds, right, of wheat that we could use, that we could grow, and that it would be easy to cultivate and turn into bread. And that's a whole nother issue, right? Bread and beer. That's a whole nother thing. But I don't understand these leaps unless, like I said, with Steve Jobs with the iPhone, you are given information. Everything is taught. Nothing is invented. And people can argue with me all day long about this, but I'm going to stick to my guns that these giant leaps didn't just happen. They were taught. And with that, Matt, I got to get out of here. Thank you for that, man, and I'll see you tomorrow night on the show. Go Beckley Tepe.
Go Beckley Tepe, buddy.
Thank you so much, Matt from Winnipeg. And I've just got to stand by this. When we look at these giant steps that mankind has made, one of them, the domestication of wheat, that is something to me that to this day I just don't understand. The thinkers out there, the thinkers in these tribes that were out there that decided not to run from some beast just to stop and think about the domestication of wheat, they died. Fade to Black's executive producers Rita Camarion. Shows produced by Hill J. Palm, Renee Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboys, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA The Planet. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2020 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, right here, Laird Scranton. Until tomorrow night, I want everybody to be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.